Well, good morning. Thank you for joining Jonathan and Julie D in the morning. And we've got an echo in the background, guys.
We do.
All right. Sounds like it's gone.
Yep, I think so.
Okay. Anyways, this morning we have David Rose here with us. Good morning, Dave.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
It's awesome to have you on our show. And
Welcome.
David, you're running for Arizona State House of Representatives, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we have a habit of asking everybody a lot of questions when they're running for office. And I have several questions I'd like to ask you this morning. And first, I'm going to let you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. So my name is David Rose, running for Arizona House of Representatives and LD30, which covers Mojave, La Paz, and part of Maricopa County, the Wickenburg area, and LD30. And I'm currently serving as the president of the Lake Havasu Unified School District. Last election, we ran as the MAGA team, swept the election, and have done great things implementing President Trump's agenda into our school district. I also have the great honor of serving on the National Faith Advisory Board with the faith team with Pastor Paula White and pastoring, nationally and influencing policy on the national level when it comes to people of faith, and having the great honor of being part of that team for the president.
Outstanding. Well, Dave, with you running for office, I've got to ask you a question. What's the most important part of the Constitution for politicians, in your opinion?
For me, it's the First Amendment. It's going to be your Second Amendment right.
Okay. And okay, I understand about the Second Amendment right, which is great. I'm all about Second Amendment rights. So, what's the most three important parts to the Constitution?
For me, it's your right to bear arms. It's your freedom of speech. It's the freedom of religion and protecting this nation. So those are the things that are going to be important for me, especially as a pastor.
Okay. And for the checks and balances, what do you know about checks and balances?
As far as we the people, we're called to be able to govern ourselves, have limited government. I think that is very super important, especially right now. We've got way too much government control from local all the way up to federal, and it's time for all of that to be broken off and really have checks and balances between governmental control and the rights of a free people and a free nation.
Right. So under the checks and balances for legislative branches is responsible for making laws composed to Congress, House of Representatives, and the Senate.
Yeah.
What laws would you want to see enforced here in Arizona that's already on the books that's not being applied?
Already on the books and not being applied? That's a great question. One is local control. That we are supposed to have local control. That is not happening. We're seeing a lot of government overreach from the state level, even local level for property rights. There's way too much mandates going on, and we see city councils implementing ordinances that violate constitutional rights of your property. We see city councils trying to tell you in certain areas how much water you can use, how much, all of that. None of that is constitutional. They don't have the right to tell you what to do with your property. And it is time that someone shut this down. And it's just the beginning. Of course, it's a radical left agenda. Right. And it's a test that we as a nation are failing because we think, yeah, I can understand that law. And they make it cute and, make the language sound like they're trying to keep your neighborhood beautiful, or they're trying to keep, they'll start with, you can't have a car parked in your yard. And, they do that type of thing because they know you're going to agree with that, because most people want their neighborhood to look nice. And it's an easy way to violate your rights as a property owner. And it's got to stop.
Oh, 100% agree. The tribal lands out there on the borders, that we have a lot of problems going on our tribal lands.
Yeah.
The reservation people, we've interviewed them many times. They want the border wall in place. The tribal
Absolutely.
council has said absolutely not. Um, from my investigation work, I believe the tribal land, the tribal council itself, is being bought and paid for by the cartel, and that's why they refuse to allow Trump's wall to be built.
Yeah.
What do you think you could do if elected to help make a difference in that category? What would you try to approach the tribal council on this matter?
Absolutely. We must partner with them. And that's a great question. Right now, the news media is trying to convince everyone there's no longer an issue at the border. And that's just simply not true. And
That's
while
correct.
I'm very thankful for the border policies that President Trump has put in place, and we have seen a decrease in the invasion, however, the invasion has not stopped. And the news wants you to think it's okay. That way they can distract you from the real issues that are happening, because there's still an invasion on a smaller scale happening in our nation, especially here in Arizona, because people aren't paying attention to the fact we have a governor who is in bed with the cartels. Cartel Katie is in bed with them, and she is allowing them to pour into this state, and she is doing business with them. Drugs, fentanyl, and sex trafficking still a major issue at our borders, as well as the invasion of the immigrants coming into the country and illegals. And so we must partner with them. And one of the ways to do that is I want to implement our own state border patrol to work alongside our federal border patrol. We must take control of that border, shut down any illegal invasion, shut down any trafficking. We have the opportunity to do that. One thing I would love to see in the future is President Trump just take control of Mexico, shut down the cartels, and just clean house. That's not obviously my purview when I get to the state house, but we as a state can shut down the border. We can implement border security, and we can put a stop to trafficking. We can put a stop to the influx of drugs, and put a stop to the influx of the invasion of illegal immigrants coming into America.
Well, Dave, you just got done saying every last thing that I've been saying in my last 2 weeks on my broadcast that we need to do. I love it. All right. Stephen Thomas, I know you had some questions you'd like to ask as well.
I would. Thank you. And good morning, David Rose. And
hey, good morning.
Thank you for what you have done with our school district. It was a disaster. You knew that. You guys took it the bull by the horns, and you destroyed these local libtards that we have running our school district. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a great honor.
Yeah. So I do have a few questions. I'm going to just go right to the border thing because we're on that topic right now. So when you are elected, will you start a border task force, or will you do everything you can to start a border task force with your colleagues?
Yeah, no, I'll do everything that I can. Obviously, as a state representative, I can't go myself and start the task force, but I will work with everyone that I can to get on board with that. Obviously, one of the most important things that we got to have for that to happen is a Republican governor. There is no way a Democrat governor is going to let that happen. That's why right now, 2026 is the most important midterm, not just for the nation, but for the state of Arizona in our state's history. If Katie Hobbs is reelected, we're in big trouble as a state. The invasion will continue. She will continue to try to stand against ICE, and she'll stand against Border Patrol. And so we must get a Republican governor elected that understands what is happening at the border, understands we've got to have our own Border Patrol in place to shut it down. So that's going to be one of the first things I do on day one. Right after being sworn in, I'm already going to have the bill drafted. I will already have met with all of the law enforcement agencies and that to get them on board and bring key players to the table, so that way on day one we can begin to work towards that goal.
And thank you. And how do you feel about I'm not sure I'm going to use the right word, but deputizing, for lack of better words, veterans? There's a load of veterans like myself, man. We want to help out, but we are absolutely strangled by our government. And I'm one of those guys. I've been helping Jonathan for a long time, and I want to donate my time and give back, but I want to help on our border, on my state and my country. And so to me, I think it's as important to get citizens involved is equally as law enforcement. And I think those citizens, there's a load of us veterans that want to help with this issue. So how do you feel
Yeah,
about that?
No, that is one of the first people that we need to be recruiting for the Border Patrol for the state. I'm actually working on that right now on a local level in our school district. Right now, schools are vulnerable. We see that not every school in the state of Arizona has a we call school resource officers, and there's supposedly a lack of funding. There is veterans who are looking to volunteer their time to protect kids, protect their cities, protect the state and nation. And so we are actually working right now to create our own internal department of protection for our school district, for security at all of our schools. Of course, we have a great partnership with the Lake Havasu City Police Department with our school resource officers, but I'm ready to take it beyond that. And one of the first people we want to hire and bring into that department are veterans to place at our schools to be able to carry and protect the kids and the teachers and staff that are in our school district.
Okay. So just one comment about this, one last comment. I would highly recommend that on your task force, you have Jonathan Alexander on that task force. My next question. So America First, we hear a lot about that every day. You scroll through X and that's all you can see lit up everywhere. America First, America First. How will you continue to fight putting American citizens first, or in our case, our state citizens over foreigners?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's one of the biggest issues in our party right now. Is are people loyal to America first, or are they loyal to other nations? And there's such an argument and division over this right now because, number one, conversations aren't happening. And one of the biggest issues that we see right now in those conversations is us implementing another nation's wars. And we have an obligation to take care of our nation first. And it doesn't mean we don't support other countries. It doesn't mean that if they're invaded, we're not going to stand with them. But before we can fix other people's issues, that's not our responsibility. We have to fix our own. We have veterans who are homeless. We have families that are struggling. We have communities that are broken. We need to take care of America before we take care of anybody else, before we give aid to anyone else. We need to give aid to our own people. The American people have been neglected for far too long. And whenever it says America first, it is time to put American citizens first, put the communities and the states of America first. And as far as in a state level, I have an obligation to focus on the state of Arizona, making sure that the district that I represent, the rural Arizona, is going to be put first when I go to the state house and I represent the rural districts strong, but also representing the entire state to make sure the state of Arizona is protected. Right now, one of the biggest issues that we're fighting is radical Islam. We see what just happened in New York. A radical leftist who hates America, hates God, and hates you if you're not Islamic. One of the first things he did was stand against it. He began to remove any anti-Semitic policies, going after the Jewish people. And so New York people are fleeing right now because they don't know what's going to happen next. And we see his stupid rants of, I was briefed about what happened in Venezuela. He has no national security clearance to be briefed. And he's really turned out to be a joke as a mayor. But the problem is people aren't paying attention to Islam is invading America. Where a bad Muslim is someone who hasn't cut your head off yet, because the Quran says to hate the infidel, kill the infidel, lie to the infidel. And this is a problem that we have on our own ground. We got to focus our eyes back on America, what's happening, the people that are being elected, because Islam is around the corner and they're playing the long game. And it's time that we put America first again and get rid of these radical left jihadists that are trying to destroy our country from the inside out.
100% agree.
How many mosques does the state of Arizona have? Do you know?
Mosque, last I heard, there's at least 20, I believe.
Okay, it's more than I thought. I thought it was about 10. I guess there's more.
Yeah, maybe 10 or it's between 10 or 20. I thought someone told me 20, but
actually, I heard there's 22 now.
22. Wow. Okay.
That's what I'm told.
Here's the thing, guys. I'm a pastor. I believe in the freedom of religion. That's one of the things I work on, serving on the National Faith Advisory Board, is protect people of faith. But let me tell you, Islam is not a religion. It is a terrorist organization that needs to be illegal in the United States of America. It is time to shut it down. We're seeing what's happening in Texas with Sugar Law. They're wanting to do it all over the country. New York, we're going to see radical Islam implemented under this mayor if he is not removed from office. Guys, we cannot set out the midterms. We cannot continue to think that, oh, they're a great Muslim. They're just not. They're a bad Muslim. What that means is they're not killing you, so they're disobeying the Quran. It's time Americans wake up and pay attention to what is happening.
Yes, we have been fully infiltrated. And on the topic of New York right now, it appears that the new mayor has also been having chats with Venezuela, with the current person that was just recently picked up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, things don't smell very good coming out of New York right now. And people have every right to be fleeing. It's so unstable. So,
yeah, 100%.
Crazy
And here's the thing: you cannot go into an Islamic nation as a Christian and run for office. It's not going to happen. Matter of fact, they're going to put you on your knees and either blow your head off or cut your head off, one of the two.
Right.
And so we've got to stop thinking it's okay to let these radical jihadists come in and lie to the infidel. The Quran tells them lie to the infidel. And that's what Mandami's done. He's lied to the infidel and made them think he cares about the community and that he wants to do housing. Nobody wants to do is implement jihadist rule in New York City. It's coming.
Yep.
The next few years in New York are going to be very dangerous. And I'm hoping that that this administration is able to shut him down. The state of New York's able to shut him down. He's already been warned by the Department of Justice for his issues against white people. And they're telling him, hey, you're already starting to break law. And so we better wake up in America. Or if not, if we don't start getting to the polls, protecting our elections, and stop allowing these crazy radical left jihadists to get elected to office, New York is going to be what the entire country looks like.
Yep.
David,
Yeah, I do that. There ain't any foreign country that I'm aware of that'll let any American go in there or any foreign other person and run for any type of political seat at all, period.
Yeah.
I've been to 14 countries. I've lived in China and I've lived in Germany. Yeah. No, they don't let you do that shit. Not at all. Sorry for my French.
You need
that people are they are misinformed about that.
Yeah,
Hey,
no,
David,
we need law put in place that prevents you if you're a foreigner and you've moved here, and even if you've come in the right way, hey, we're at least that you came in the right way, that's great, but you shouldn't be allowed to run for office. This is America, built on American values, built on the Constitution and the freedoms of America and our value system. And what happens is these foreigners come in and they begin to implement their value system.
Right.
Hey, David, I got a question for you about Mark Kelly real quick.
Absolutely.
So
I got 4 more questions.
Okay. What's your thoughts on Mark Kelly telling our troops to disobey orders, unlawful orders from Donald Trump?
Spaceman needs to be arrested. That's what I feel. Spaceman needs to be arrested. He is another radical leftist who it's the same playbook we see from the Democrats. Is they want to use the law on their side when it benefits them, and they want to stand against it whenever it benefits us. And he has no constitutional right to say what he said. I'm so thankful for Secretary Hegseth holding him accountable, and I'm hoping that we see him prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and removed from office. He's a danger to Arizona. We understand what we're dealing with Space Boy, and he's a disgrace to our state. And Arizona needs to do better. We need to elect a real senator and someone who actually loves this country and puts this country first. And Mark Kelly is not that person. He is putting other interests first over Arizona and over America, and he needs to be removed from office.
Well, I actually reached out to Mark Kelly, have not gotten a response back.
You want.
And I called him out on it. I said, well, how about under the Biden administration and you were in office as well? I said, how about you guys ordering our Border Patrol agents to stand down and to assist with this invasion? I said, do you call that a lawful order?
Right.
Because that's your assist. When you take that oath is to uphold and defend the Constitution against what? All enemies, foreign and
Yep.
domestic.
Domestic.
No,
That's right.
no ands or buts. So,
Yeah.
and if you got a full scale invasion on our borders, which we have reported on for years, and I'm talking, we've had hundreds of men from China come in, all fighting age in large groups. We've had people from Afghanistan, Russia. I mean, 150 some different countries we have reported on pouring through our borders.
Yeah.
And how can Mark Kelly, being a veteran himself, be okay with this? You know, let alone anybody here in America. This is why we have exposed it. We have dedicated our lives to exposing it and trying to get people to come together, like Leo Biasucci. We were trying to work with him, try to get people to come on board and to put together teams to help shut this down.
Yeah.
So I like your attitude right from the get go on this matter.
Yeah. It's time to get Space Boy out of office.
Yeah. So
I like
okay.
that.
All right. Go ahead,
quick.
Steve.
So, committees. When you get elected in your state house, committees are a big deal. Chair of committee is a big deal. From what I understand how that all works, it's you get to be on a committee based on how much money you raise, campaign funds.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I've not.
What committees do you feel you would be best suited for, and why? And how much money will you need to raise for that seat?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I've not heard that part, so I know that for our race, our team has projected. We are in a packed primary. There's 5 people running for 2 seats. I've been projected to be the front runner, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm the guy that's going to campaign like I'm in last place. I just work hard. Steve, you've seen how hard we campaigned in the school board races. We ran as the MAGA team. We knocked every door that we could knock, and we text every person we could text, and we got in front of as many voters as possible. And in this race, we're doing the same thing. Obviously, in one of the largest districts in the state. We are in a 17,000 square, I believe, is the square mile district, from Wickenburg all the way up to Colorado City, Arizona on the border. So for me, we've been projected that we need to raise anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 in this race, based on it being one of the most packed primaries for state houses in the state of Arizona. But for me, I don't think that raising money is the important thing for me to get a seat on a committee. I'm not focused on that. My experience, number one, as a school board president, I think gives me a great opportunity to sit on the education committee for the state. We've already implemented the president's America First agenda in our own school district. We were the first school district in the nation to ban DEI, both in curriculum and in hiring practices. We were one of the first school districts in the nation to ban harsh chemicals in food dyes and school lunches. We did a full locker room and, no girls and boys sports, no boys and girls sports. We did no boys and girls bathrooms or locker rooms and vice versa, and protecting our students, putting the radical ideologies out of our school district. We did a full curriculum audit, and I'm ready to take all of what we have done and take it to the state level. Arizona ranks 47th in education in proficiency ratings, and which is horrible. And so one of the things we're doing is holding educators accountable. And we have great educators in our school district. We're thankful for them, but it's time to get back to teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, and actually making sure that every student is successful. There's no room for excuse of why we can't do that. We're holding them accountable. We're going to make sure that we're doing that. And one of the things when we got elected as a team, and I got elected school board president, I made the statement, and I stand by it, that we're going to lead this school district to be what the entire state could look like as a successful district. I'm so sick and tired of hearing the rhetoric of the radical left. We need more money. It's always their thing. We need more money. We don't need more money. What we need is more accountability in school districts and school boards. We discovered $26 million. I
was going to bring that up. Thank you.
That was hidden in our school district. and it wasn't embezzled. We looked into that, but it was just put away like a rainy day fund. Those funds were never reported to the governing board. The board never knew they existed. So let me tell you what they were doing, Jonathan and Steve. They were hiring foreign teachers from other countries to come and teach our kids. And these are teachers that don't value our ideology as American. They don't value faith, family, and freedom. They value their ideology. They barely spoke English. I'll never forget. And during our school board campaign, we were told, oh, the MAGA team's lying. We're not doing that. Well, they were. And guess what? We put a stop to it the day we got elected. We took those additional funds that we found, we put towards giving teacher raises. And in this last year, we hired all American teachers, and we're already seeing a rise in proficiency ratings in the school district.
Outstanding.
I want to add to that. You may or may not know this, but I'm a contractor, and that's what I'm talking about, and I'm in construction. So I was on a project last year in Bullhead City, and that's exactly what that school district's doing up there. I was on a project where they're building 20 homes to import foreign teachers to put them on the payroll, and it gets even crazier. These are 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, and they're renting the rooms out to the teachers. And they're stacking them up, 3 teachers to a house. And they got a whole little community they're building up there off the Parkway near Bullhead City, Laughlin, Arizona.
Yeah. One of the first things I'm going to do, Steve, one of the first things I'm going to do when I get to the state house is run a bill that states you cannot hire any foreign teacher in our school districts in the state.
Outstanding.
Yeah, well, they're doing it up there in Bullhead. So. Okay, so that's going to lead into my next question. How do you intend to balance your duties as a House of Representative and our local school district president?
Hey, that's a great question. So the good thing is we've already implemented everything we campaigned on. From this point forward, the rest of my term, I'm focused on building and implementing vision. A lot of great things ahead for the 2026 school year. And the great thing is getting elected to the state house while serving on the school board gives me more influence into education because I'm in the schools. I see what the problems are. When a lot of times you have people sitting on education committees that are guessing at best. They're meeting with school administrators. They're meeting with teachers, but are they really getting the right information? You know, because when you're making decisions, you're using the information that is given to you to influence policy. And where I am in the schools, and we have several Republicans who are on the education committee who currently are or have served on school boards. One of the state senators on the Republican side, she serves on the Scottsdale School District. I serve in Lake Havasu. And so for me, it's a very easy balance. We have meetings once a month. Other meetings that I do to prepare, I can do by Zoom. I will be in district on Fridays because house session is only Monday through Thursday. So I will be coming home on Thursday evenings unless there's a special meeting on Fridays. And then on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'm going to be taking to meet with constituents, but also meet with the school district. And of course, I'll be on Zoom meetings when needed throughout the week. Making sure that the school is not left behind and that our policies are still being implemented and things are still being ran smoothly.
Right. Hey, David, if you can let me know of your events coming up, I'll be there to broadcast it.
Okay. Awesome.
So I love your stance, by the way.
That was it, Jonathan. David, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So David, one of the problems that we are seeing around this country is like what you're saying, education. What they're bringing, where they're trying to indoctrinate our children, and they are
Absolutely.
That they want God, family, and country basically out of the picture totally.
Absolutely, they do.
And you know, that's one of the things I love about you is your boots on the ground. You're already active. You've been fighting for the school board. I can tell right now by your stance, you're going to fight for Arizona. And that's what we need as a fighter. Not somebody that just talks to talk, someone that's actually going to put action behind his words.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things I've been kind of frustrated with right now with what's going on in this country. We have all this evidence in the world of on all this corruption going on, but yet we have not yet seen mass arrest. Um, and same thing here in Arizona. As far as I'm concerned, Mark Kelly ought to be sitting behind bars right now.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
We're not seeing it. And when what do you think it's going to take for people to quit getting that free get out of jail free card and being held accountable?
People that are actually willing to hold them accountable, and also understand that sometimes they're playing the long game. They're still doing finalizing investigations. Sometimes we want someone arrested and prosecuted right now. And in speaking with some prosecutors that I know that are involved in those types of cases, not the current cases, but have served on federal as federal prosecutors and state prosecutors, is making sure when you're making this type of high profile arrest or case that you've got solid evidence that you can nail them, and you know you're not going to lose the case. And that's what I'm hoping is going on right now with the Department of Justice, with Pam Bondi. And even, right now I can tell you, as long as Chris Mays is the Attorney General of Arizona, we're not going to see Katie Hobbs prosecuted. We're not, unless Pam Bondi is able to step in. And I know that she is going to be held accountable for the fraud that she has committed in the state. I know right now they're still investigating. They're putting together a solid case against Katie Hobbs to present. And so we have to give a little bit of patience towards that. But at the same time, some of these cases, there's already enough evidence, I believe, to have a solid arrest and a solid prosecution and trial. So it's time to put their mouth and money where their mouth is, get to work, do what they told the American people they were going to do, and bring accountability. And so for on the state level, that's why it's important that we elect in this midterm an attorney general that is going to do the job, an attorney general who's going to send Chris Mays home, and us start seeing prosecution on the state level for the fraud, waste, and abuse that Katie Hobbs and her regime has committed here in the state.
Yeah. What's your thoughts of our Border Patrol agents that assisted in this foreign invasion over 4 years?
They need to be prosecuted.
Yep.
I love our agents, but at that point, you're a foreign, you're a foreign nation, and you're betraying the oath that you took as a sworn in officer. And so they need to be held accountable. We need accountability on all levels. And nothing's going to change until we see that happen. And it's like when we were kids, when I was a kid, my parents would say, we're going to make an example out of you. And that's what's got to happen. We got to start making an example out of people for this stuff to stop. If we want to see the election fraud stop, we got to make an example out of people. If we want to see the fraud, waste, and abuse stop in the state and in this nation, we have got to start making examples out of people so that they know America is not playing around. The America First movement is not playing around, and we will hold you accountable for your invasion and your corruption.
Well, when me and Steve been down on the border many times, we actually questioned Border Patrol and asked them, why are you guys assisting with this invasion? And their explanation to us, we're just following orders. And this goes back to Mark Kelly, where he's telling people to not accept illegal orders. Is that not an illegal order to assist with the foreign invasion?
Right. Yeah. Mark Kelly has no one. Well, number one, Mark Kelly has zero authority to give any law enforcement agency any direction at all. He's overstepping his authority as a congressman, and he needs to sit down as a U.S. senator, he needs to sit down and shut his mouth and actually figure out what it is he's elected to do. And giving direction to law enforcement and military is not part of that description as a U.S. senator. And so maybe, he needs to figure out what his job description is. Maybe we need to type it up in an email and send it to him so he understands the duties of a U.S. senator, and giving any instruction to law enforcement or military is not part of that.
Well, I've got a proposition for Donald Trump, and I think this is a good one. If you happen to talk to him, you can bring this to his attention as well. I think all of our Border Patrol agents that resigned under the Biden administration that said we will not accept such an unlawful order. We're done. And I'm talking. I've known Border Patrol agents down there that served for that they're on their final year for full retirement, and they resigned. They said,
Yeah.
"I can't do it. I will not take this kind of an unlawful order." So I think what the Trump administration ought to put into play is he needs to reinstate them, give them full back pay because they did the right thing. They did not
Yeah.
accept unlawful orders. And they said, no, we're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Trump administration needs to do for our rightful Border Patrol agents that did the right thing, and then hold the ones accountable that were assisting this invasion on our borders.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's a good way. That's a good way to make an example of them as well, and
Yeah.
and
No.
say that's not going to be tolerated here in America.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a great idea. And actually, I'm hoping that we see Mark Lamb get elected to Congress. Sheriff Mark Lamb, who's,
Yep.
when it comes to the border, is one of the most knowledgeable people that I've ever had a conversation with. And I think that would be one of the great first things for Lamb to do when he does get elected to Congress, is make sure that happens. But yeah, no, we have an obligation to take care of those who actually obeyed the law and the Constitution of the United States to protect and defend this nation. And I'm very thankful for those agents, and we need to recognize them.
Well, I got something I'd like for you to do first, Dave, that you're in office, if you can look into this matter, because Mark Lamb is a good friend of mine. So we got a place called the No More Death Camp. It's a human trafficking camp right here on American soil, right outside of Aribaca, Arizona. They've been operating now for almost 30 years down there. They are funded through the Catholic charities over out of Yuma, and different churches are backing them financially. These guys assist the cartel constantly. They just got done raiding them about 3 weeks back again for the 1,000th time. and they're back fully operational again. And I'd like to see that place bulldozed to the ground. If you eliminate the cartel's pit stop for their human trafficking and drug trafficking, because they do a pit stop at this No More Death Camp, and then from there they assist the cartel, and then they continue their journey up to 3 Points, Arizona, wherever they're headed to make their drug drops or human trafficking drops, and then they're transported all over the country. And we have done this investigation. I could take you on a border tour down there and show you exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're actually going to go together. We talked about that.
Yep,
so yeah.
Yep. But that's the thing. Why would a human trafficking camp be allowed on American soil, especially right here in Arizona, unless Cartel Hobbs isn't being funded on this as well?
Yeah, I really.
I just want to jump in and add into that. I've been down there with Jonathan. We took, I don't know, 6 or 8 or 10 candidates, a whistleblower, down to that No Mas Muderes, No More Death Camp. And it took us over an hour to get there from the border. It's that far into America. Right. Dirt roads, coyotes are looking at us, following us, guns pointing at us. And we get there to No Mas Muderes, and guess who's already there waiting for us? About 9 Border Patrol trucks surrounding that camp. They prevented us from going down there, didn't they? Remember that day, Jonathan?
That's correct.
And I have a picture of that on loadedguncoffee.com website. You can see that camp in the background. It's still there.
So the Border Patrol was actually protecting the No More Death Camp from the news media.
Yeah, they weren't protecting us.
No.
Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, no, it's time for people to start being held accountable. Arizona is one of the #1 avenues for trafficking for the entire nation. Our border is known for that. And it's time that accountability happen and someone actually want to fight, not be scared of the cartel. That's part of the problem. Is people get elected, they get death threats from the cartel because they, and we see this on a state and national level. Good people run for office, they get in the office, and then they get threatened or they get blackmailed. And so then they cower down, and you see them back off from what they said they were going to do because they're afraid of their family being killed, all of those things. And we see it. And we have an obligation to protect our families. But I watched one of my dear friends, Charlie Kirk, take a bullet for this nation. When you get sworn in to stand to defend this nation, whether you're serving in the military or you're serving as an elected official, that is a risk that you should be willing to take, is to lose your life for doing the right thing. Just as a pastor, I'm willing to lose my life for preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, because I will not cower down to the radical left's agenda to silence. You're not going to silence me. We need that from elected officials who are going to say, you can threaten, you can blackmail, you can run your mouth all you want. We're going to do what's right. We're going to expose the corruption. We're going to expose the sex trafficking, and people are going to start being arrested. And we have an obligation
to that. Yeah. Yeah. A big amen to that. 100% agree. So, and on that subject, we've got the cartel that's threatened our lives, told us to go away, tell us they're hunting us down. And my response to them is, well, that's good, because we're hunting for you too.
Right. Yeah.
Two-way street.
It's like when you were in school standing up to a bully.
Yeah.
And you have a choice. You either allowed the bully to bully you around and you cower down and give in and say, okay, or you stand up to them and you respond in a way they're not expecting you to respond. And that's what is time for us to do as a nation and as a state, is let these cartels know you're not coming to Arizona anymore. You don't have control of this state. And we start arresting anybody that is in their pocket. Anyone that they are funding, anyone that they're paying off, starts going to prison, starts being held accountable, even for treason, and are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Well, what I'd like to see is the cartel hit with full force on the Mexico side, wiped out, because I think if you eliminate the main source, we're not going to have to worry about all this trafficking in and out. And that's the problem. I think we're not. And I think that's what Donald Trump needs to do. And I think he's making some indications he might take that step next. And I pray to God he does. Because until somebody does that,
they're a terrorist organization. At the end of the day, they are one of the biggest threats to America, between sex trafficking and drugs. And it's time for their pipeline to be shut down, both in the drug pipeline and in the trafficking pipeline.
Well, I can tell you right now, Dave, we will back you. And we'll definitely help watch over you as well. And I know Stephen Thomas would be right there helping as well. We've got a great group of team out here that works with us. And we are about America first. We're about saving this state as well. And right now, if we don't get Hobbs removed from office, I don't see a future for Arizona. And that's what
you're exactly right. Hobbs, Fontes, and Mays have got to get sent back to the House in the 2026 midterm in August. And we need to send a clear message. Look, there's a lot of people, out of everything I said today, one of the most important things that out of my entire message is get to the ballot box and vote. Do not sit out the midterm. This midterm is just as important as the presidential election in 2024 to get President Donald J. Trump elected back to office. But here's what people are not realizing. If we set out the midterm, Donald Trump's in trouble. Arizona's definitely in trouble. And we're going to spend the next few years fighting and trying to protect families, protect our state, protect our property, and protect the freedoms that we all value. Do not set out the midterms. Get out, vote. Yep. We need just as big of a turnout in this election as we did the 2024 presidential election.
100%.
Yes.
Julie, you got any questions you'd like to ask?
Oh, I think I mean, for me, what you mentioned earlier in halting the ability for people to come in and install Sharia law, that's one of my topics, is that we cannot, that's such a slippery slope. And so we the people need to be focusing on what's taking place within these bills, what's being removed, what's being allowed to slide in regarding Sharia. I mean, what in the hell is really going on in New York City when they're doing the announcement 5 times a day their prayer thing.
Now they're doing the call to prayer, the
Yes.
Islamic call to
No,
prayer.
no.
And
No.
that's coming to, look, we set out the midterms. It's coming to a city near you. And
Exactly.
they want to shut down Christianity. They want to take over this nation. They are our mortal enemy. Listen,
Right.
Republicans, they're watching this show. I'm sure Democrats don't watch this show because they would just, their heads would explode. But Republicans, you've got to stop fighting each other. Get the rhinos out of office. Get the rhinos out of the party. The Mike Pence rhinos have got to go. The George Bush rhinos have got to go. And it is time that we be truly America first. Islam is not your friend. The doctor that you go to, he may not cut your head off. That's because he's a bad, if you have an Islamic doctor, it feels like 70% of the doctors in America now are Islamic. We need to look into that. There's something about that. And I don't, of course I've been accused of being an Islamic phobe, whatever. No, it's called reality, what the Quran says. I understand it as a pastor that we're dealing with spiritual warfare over this nation because this nation is blessed by the hand of God and the enemy hates America. Islam is our enemy. They're not your friend. And your doctor may not cut your head off, but I'll tell you, when it comes to standing, he's going to choose to cut your head off over his family. So they're loyal to their religion. And one of my dear friends said it this way, Andrew Sedra, who is a pastor friend of mine who's been fighting against Islam in Australia. He is part of, I'm also part of Turning Point TPUSA Faith. I'm one of the TPUSA Faith pastors. Our church is the TPUSA Faith Church. And anyway, Andrew's been fighting against Islam in Australia, fighting against it in his ministry. And let me tell you, one of the things he said, a bad Islamic is like a bad Christian. A bad Islamic is one that is not following the Quran to the T, just like a bad Christian doesn't follow the Bible, or we pick and choose. So it's the same thing. And just because they're cutting your head off doesn't mean they like you. They're just choosing right now to be peaceful, but they're not your friend. They're your enemy. And it's time that we put a stop to Islam in America.
Well, that's one.
It's not a religion. I've said it before. Any religion that spreads that hatred and that death is not a religion. And that is supportive. It is very much a terrorist group or organization.
Let me tell you, they use our prison systems to recruit. Let me say that again. I know that firsthand because I gave my life to Jesus in a prison cell. I got saved in prison, and I watched firsthand what Islam is doing in prisons. They're recruiting because they know people are looking to belong to something, and they're recruiting in prison systems all over America. People ask, well, how did this white guy end up getting involved in Islam that grew up in a Christian nation or a Christian community? What is happening? It's because they're getting recruited. And we've got to shut it down. It is a terrorist organization operating in our backyard, in our prison system, and in our political system. And it's time to get they are the ones we got to get out.
And that's interesting that you bring that up, because at the start, I can totally see where somebody who's very troubled and in prison, initially, I can see where their personality would change to be a very calmer, laid back, not as interactive as maybe they used to be in such a negative way. But that's just all a facade. That's just to cover up what they're really installing. That's what they're really seeding in. And this is part of how we, the country, have been infiltrated. And, this has been going on for decades now. And so it's time for we, the people, to hold accountable the folks that are already in there and say no Sharia law. And those of us that are getting in there now, like you, continue to follow through on that and follow up.
And it goes back to Jonathan's original questions: is what are the most important parts of the Constitution? What are the most important things that matter? Is freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms are two of the most important things. and the right to defend yourself, and the right to shut them down. They're our enemy. They're not your friend. This nation better wake up. I have a book coming out. I'm finishing up on Islam. I'm not releasing the title yet, but it is going to expose all the way back to 9/11 of what happened in the church. And I talk about 9/11 and the failure of the American church during September 11th, during that time, because the church has sung Kumbaya instead of being bold and calling out the enemy and saying Islam is the enemy. And what happened is the church wanted to unify everybody together, because you hear these pastors say only preach Jesus, and which is great. Jesus is the center of all we do. But we also need to call out the enemy. The Bible is political. From Genesis to Revelation, the Bible is one of the largest political historical books of our time. And whenever we look from Mordecai to King David, Saul, all of them were political. Jesus was very political. And I get so sick and tired of the coward woke church that, we want to stay silent. We don't want to offend anybody. The American church failed this nation during 9/11. And when we had an opportunity to stand and call out the enemy and save this nation, yet again, we failed. And it's time that the church use its voice and stand.
Hey, David, I've got Pastor John Padula from the Altar Church out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. He's been down to the border with me and our team many times. I think he's going to be on this next trip as well, that we're going to be taking to the border. I think you two will hit it off. He's also running for office out in Idaho.
Okay, awesome.
And been a good friend of mine for a lot of years. But you guys have the same stance, and that's one of the things I love about you. And yeah, you've got my vote. I'll say that.
Mine too, even though I don't live there.
Just need you to move here.
Exactly. Well, it's always a possibility. I'm waiting for God to tell me where to go next. So who knows? It could be Arizona.
Definitely let me know what Your News Arizona can do to help you, Dave. We'll make sure this gets broadcasted out to every network out there today. Again, there's going to be millions of people seeing this today. This is going out on yournews.com as well, which is national. So it's going to hit everywhere.
Awesome.
And I love your message. I love what you're fighting for. I love that you're bringing the fight right to Arizona and saying enough is enough. And it's going to take someone like you to help get the job done. And again, it's going to take all of us, folks. All of us have got to get involved. And again, we had Daniel Gutierrez. He ran for in the special election out there in the Tucson sector. We didn't even have 20% of the Republicans get out and vote in that special election. Mm-hmm. Same thing out in Florida. Not even 20% got out and voted. And for the first time they've got a Democrat in control out there in Florida. As I think, what is it, mayor? I think it is. And this is why our votes do matter. We've got to get involved. You guys got to get out and vote for David Rose as well, and spread the word.
Absolutely.
We've got to be his boots. We got to be his boots on the ground. That's what it takes. And just get out there and talk to your friends, family. Tell them why we got to get David in office.
And they can go to my website, votedavidrose.com. They can follow me on X at David Rose AZ, or on my campaign Facebook page, David Rose for Arizona.
And David, are you holding Sunday services over there in Lake Havasu? Yeah.
So we outgrew. We were in a great church building. We outgrew our building. Our lease was up, so we made the decision to move. We're currently using the Lake Havasu High School auditorium on Sundays at 10:30.
Nice.
Well, you might see me there Sunday. So, all right.
And you're free to wear your MAGA hat to church. It's okay.
Absolutely. Steve, you got any other questions?
I did. Do we have any of this Somalia-based fraud that's happening in our state? Are you aware of
You know,
anything
that
like
is
that?
that's actually a great question. I believe we do. And here's why. There's been a lot of conversation over the last couple of years of, oh, we need early childhood education. I keep hearing that from of all places, the Chamber of Commerce is somehow, pushing an organization that has no business being involved in education is trying to push education and early childhood education. I actually received a phone call about that, and I'm not accusing them saying they're involved in fraud, but it's definitely something. There's some Minnesota's not the only place this is happening. It's happening all over the country, and I think it's going to not take long for us to find it. It's disgusting what's happening. Shame on them. I mean, who knew that you could just, become a millionaire by opening up a daycare, not accepting children? That's crazy to me. But that's the kind of fraud, waste, and abuse that is happening in this nation. And we're not taking care of people. We got veterans sleeping on the street with PTSD. We're not taking care of them. They fought hard to defend this country, and we forget about them because there's some homeless veteran now. That's unacceptable. But we're giving all this money to foreigners to come here and open up businesses, and that's got to stop too. The other thing I'm sick and tired of is you can move here from any country and get all these benefits, get money to open up a business. Not 80% of gas stations in America are owned by foreigners. It's ridiculous. It's time to have America only owned businesses.
Dave, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because here's something else. Here's something else I'd like to see shut down. So your Patel colonies, they could come in, they can run a motel. I think they're allowed up to 3 or 4 years, tax free.
Yeah.
Then they got to swap it out to
for any business, a hotel, gas station, restaurant. They need to be that. Hey, I'm all about the American dream. You want to come here the right way and own a business and live the American dream. I'm all about that. To do it tax free and the American people don't get that. Absolutely not. It's disgusting. It must be stopped. And again, that is fraud, waste, and abuse.
But these guys being allowed to do this tax free, if you and I were trying to do it without paying taxes, we're going to lock us up. Yeah.
We're going to federal prison.
Exactly.
And just so you guys know, when you see Patel at the motels, Patel Management, that's not the person's last name. That's the name of the colony, Patel Colony. I want to just get that clear. And that's a lot of your most of your motels nowadays are actually, believe it or not, Patel owned somewhere on the books. And this is something, again, this should be about America first. We need to take control of this country again as well. And Dave, appreciate you being on our show today. God bless you.
It's been great.
You 100% got my support, and I'll do all I can to help promote you as well.
All right. Thank you so much. And everyone that's watching that lives in LD30 would love to earn your vote. Go to votedavidrose.com.
Beautiful.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end today's broadcast. We'll be live again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 Pacific. And hope to have you back on our show again as well,
Absolutely. It'd be my great honor.
And sorry for being so congested. I've been fighting this cold.
All good. Take it. Ivermectin.
Exactly.
Days.
Double up.
100% believe in it.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
All right, guys. God bless all you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. Please like, follow, and share our broadcast. Get it out there. David Rose for Arizona House of Representatives. Hopefully I said all that right. And we definitely need you in office, Dave. Thank you.